Care, Concern and Compassion was the buzz phrase in Nelson McCausland's speech. Earlier I spoke to the Social Development Minister and asked him how that will tie in with welfare reform.
There are several aspects of welfare reform that relate in that way. First of all, I think it's important that people are encouraged to get into work where that is at all possible. And the introduction of universal credit is based on that presumption that people will always be better off if they're working than not in work. Too many people at the moment are trapped in the benefit trap and are losing out thereby. The other thing we need to keep very much in mind is that as regards the introduction of welfare reform in Northern Ireland, we are tied to parity with Great Britain. Nevertheless, there are things that we can do to ameliorate the worst effects of the Conservative programme of welfare reform.
Before we get to that though, it's very difficult to get a job in this economic climate. Unemployment is rising. There's in some cases hundreds of people chasing one job.
There is, however, a disincentive at the moment for some people to go into work, because if they go into work they actually end up financially in a worse situation. By reforming the welfare system, you can ensure that the benefit trap is removed.
Fuel poverty is a big issue for people, particularly at this time of year coming into the colder weather. What can you do? You criticise the Westminster government for cutting the winter fuel payment. Can the Assembly not bring one in of its own?
There are things that we may be able to do using, for example, the Social Protection Fund. And OFM, DFM are certainly looking at that at the moment, and we would hope that the proposals will come forward fairly soon.
So people could expect to get some help with their fuel bills this winter?
I think that we are better to wait until the announcement comes from OFM, DFM as to how that money is going to be distributed, but it is something that is very much on the agenda at the moment.
Obviously the vast majority of people get their heating from oil. Would you like to see a regulator for oil? We currently don't have one.
The oil market is particularly important in Northern Ireland because for most people that is the fuel that they use. It's a very different situation from that in Great Britain. The situation will improve somewhat now that Arlene Foster has announced the extension of the gas network to the west of the province. But as regards to oil, we don't really fully understand at the moment the nature of the oil market in Northern Ireland. There's a lot of work to be done in that regard. We have tasked officials to look at it, to bring forward information, and then on that basis we can make some recommendations.
Would you be in support of a regulator?
We need to find out, is that going to make a difference? No point in having something if it's not going to make a difference. If it does, then we'll certainly look at it. The other aspect of oil, of course, is that for many people the cost of a single fill at £300 to £500 is simply beyond their reach, and that's why I was particularly pleased to be able to announce that we're taking forward, in connection with Kingspan and Carillion, a possible form of pay-as-you-go, and that would certainly change the situation from that which pertains at the moment, where many people are having to go and buy cans of oil at petrol forecourts and are actually paying 3 to 4 times over what they would normally have to pay.
Minister, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.